Okay, guys and girls, this is a true story, according to Psaki, which makes it fiction in the real world. So, let's check it out. See what kind of propaganda she's going to throw at us today.
Hi, everyone. Okay. As you may know, or now you will know, today is Equal Pay Day, and we have two special guests from the Council of Economic Advisors, Chair Cecilia Rouse and member Heather Boucher. Chair Cecilia Rouse recently served as the Dean of the Princeton School of Public and International Affairs. She is a renowned labor economist with expertise centered in the
This is
economics
actually
of
the
education and
Obama
equality.
administration
Cecilia
coming back
previously
to
served
life.
as a member of the Council of
So,
Economic
this
Advisors in the
proves in
Obama-Biden
reincarnation.
administration and on the National Economics and the Congressional Joint Economic
Wonder what her
Committee. They
net
both have
worth
quite some
is.
resumes.
I'm going to
turn it over to them.
let you
They
know.
will each make some brief remarks.
So I Googled, hate to do it, but I Googled her net worth, and the first 3 clicks I made, 3 different, one was AOL, one was Yahoo, the other was Wikipedia, all said the exact word for word, exact same thing, and didn't answer the question what her net worth was, but talked about, how she's the first black woman to blah, blah, blah.
They're spending on childcare for
She's really hurting, though, because she was she's the Dean of Public and International Affairs at Princeton. She knows what it's like to struggle.
If we add it all up,
Okay, so her net worth is somewhere between $1 and $5 million. What a poor, struggling woman. I feel so bad for her. I wish she had a GoFundMe account. I would certainly give all the money I could, because this poor millionaire woman is struggling as a black woman of color in today's white supremacist society. What can we do to help this woman? This millionaire woman, this multi-millionaire woman, how can we help her? Come on, GoFundMe, Cecilia. This is horrible. I don't know if I'm going to make it through the day. Just knowing that she's struggling the way she is because she's a black woman and a multi-millionaire. That means that if she was not a black woman, she would be worth at least $15 million instead of $1 to $5 million. This poor woman. We got to do something, y'all. We've got to do something
forward so that schools can reopen safely. And then, of course, there are funds as a part of the American Rescue Plan.
Schools reopening safely has nothing to do with schools reopening safely. It has everything to do with the teachers' unions willing to go back to work, because where I live, schools have been open since the fall. These people that can get up in front of America and lie to their face like this are just absolutely despicable people. Just duplicitous pieces of trash that will sit there and lie to the American face, getting paid by our money. Horrible person. You are a horrible, horrible person. Karma will get you. Something will get you eventually. Smiling snake. You're a devil in the White House right now. Here's my question. If women are underpaid and being screwed over by the machine, we'll just call it a machine, you guys are the majority when it comes to actual numbers. Why are you letting this happen? As women, responsible women looking out after women, why are you letting it happen? You should vote these people out of office.
What I was going to add to that is that this next
Right?
package is really about
You're in control. This is a
and
republic
making the kind of
democracy,
smart investments
democratic
that will
republic.
Increase growth, and we want that growth to be widely shared. So the idea is not just to increase the size of the pie, but to ensure that
Is it
everybody
really
gets their
everybody
slice,
else's
unlike
fault
what
except for the victims?
followed in the past.
Don't you kind of make your own bed in this situation?
Some kind of private sector initiative.
Right, that is the exact purpose of the American Rescue Plan. Right, the whole purpose is to get us through this pandemic with and to help our businesses that are
So
viable stay
when are you
in
going to
business,
admit the American
help
Rescue
workers
Plan
who
didn't
need
work?
help paying
Because
their
you're
rent,
it's carrying a lot of
getting
weight,
food
this
on the
ARP.
table, to
It's gonna
stay
it's
engaged and
gonna
not just
save a lot of
imagine that
people.
they're
It's gonna
drop
cure a lot
out
of
and drop out
cancer,
forever. We know that
and
the
it's not.
longer
We know it's
we have the
not.
economic crisis and the longer that workers are out of the workforce.
So
the
what are you
harder
going to
it is for
say
them
when
to
it
come back.
doesn't fix
So
the
that is
problem? You're going to
entire
blame it on
focus of
Trump,
the
aren't you?
Rescue Plan, is to get us back on track so that by next year we are back to essentially full employment.
Thank you both so much for coming.
Thank
We'd love
you.
to
Bye,
have you back.
Felicia.
Thank you.
Okay, I just have a couple of other items for you all at the top. As you know, this afternoon, the President and First Lady will be joined by Megan Rapinoe and Margaret Pearce at the White House for a virtual event with other
Margaret
members of
Pearce
the
was
US
the woman who
Women's
invented the
National Team,
purse,
where the President
in
will
case you
sign
didn't
a
know.
proclamation marking Equal Pay Day. Additionally, the second gentleman is in St. Louis, Missouri.
And
for a
it's
listening
funny that
session
we're
on gender
talking
equity
about
in the
equal
workforce.
pay and the
As
woman who
Cecilia and
invented the
Heather just
purse,
detailed, the pandemic
where you
and
put your
economic crisis
pay,
have
not the
undermined
bank,
health
you
and
put it in your
well-being of
purse,
women and children.
is a
The
guest at
American
the White
Rescue Plan
House.
provides
How
help for women and
apropos.
families by increasing the child tax credit, expanding child care
When's that gonna
assistance,
happen?
and providing women and
Child
families
tax credit.
the relief they need. It also
I
provides
think the
$130
tax
billion
credit for
to
children
help
need to
schools
go
serve all
up
students
the older
and
they
keep
get.
open.
So when they're 17,
Yesterday,
you
on
need to
the
be
anniversary of
coming
the
to the
Affordable
peak
Care Act
because they're
being signed into
eating the
law,
most.
The president, of course, traveled to Ohio.
Right.
It was a great special enrollment period until August 15th. I know.
Right on.
Noted that, but I just
Yeah,
wanted to
we were really
reiterate
worried
it
about
because
it.
was
We
late
were
in the
really
day.
concerned about
This
how
morning, the
long it's going to
president
be
was proud to
before
sign into law the
we
Save
could
Lives
sign
Act,
up
the
for the
bipartisan piece of legislation.
blah,
Give the VA
blah,
the ability
blah.
to provide vaccines. Give you a little bit more detail. The president will travel to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Dang, she's
next
got a lot of
week
buttons on
Wednesday,
her
March
jacket there. Did you
31st,
see that?
Where he will deliver a speech laying out more details of his plan to build the economy back better.
Build it back
Over the next
better.
several days, and this is
Communism,
probably why they were hesitant
socialism,
to
take
give
your money,
more
give it to
detail.
the rich.
He will continue meeting with his economic team to finalize details.
She says
of
it with
his
a smile
proposal,
on her face,
including
too.
the
Build
scale,
back better.
scope, and final policy components. His focus, of course, will
Snake.
be on investing in America's workers, making sure the tax code rewards
Good
work,
union
not wealth,
jobs.
delivering on the promises he made to the American people.
Good
when he
union
was
jobs.
running for president.
Say it, good
With
union
that,
jobs.
Go ahead,
Because
Josh.
you're in bed with a union.
Jen, on the shooting in Colorado, the president said Congress must act. Senate Majority Leader Schumer has also said the Senate's poised to act. But Vice President Harris said today on CBS that she thought the change would have occurred after the Sandy Hook shootings. And I'm curious, what does the president think is different this time, and how has he changed his approach so that this administration can pass these changes when in the past it failed?
Well, first, the president shares that sentiment, as I think many Americans do, that when we saw 20 children murdered, when we saw 6 adults murdered, that would turn the tide of
See, I
Congress.
missed some of their questions
We have
because
seen,
of the mask.
Data and statistics.
I didn't
still,
understand what he was
across the
asking, what his
country, still
reference was in
broadly
that
support,
question.
Background checks. I think it's about 80% of the American public
We all
support
do background checks. We
including
do it.
a
Every
good
gun
percentage
sold
of
gets a
gun
background
owners
check,
support
except for the
background
ones
checks.
that are
We've
sold
seen
privately.
States take action since that time. A number of states across the country. have
This
put
guy
in
bought a
place
gun
number of
from a
laws.
federal firearm
Sometimes
licensed
states are the
dealer,
leaders,
so he
as
did the
we know,
background
and
check.
we've seen in other areas.
He
of
obviously
policymaking.
lied on the federal
But I
form
think
that
the
says
president
he's
who
a
has
sound
been in
mind.
public life and public office for 50
50
years, more than 50
years,
years, would
hadn't
be the
done
first to
anything
tell you if
right
he
in
were standing
50
here that
years.
Just because you don't get the policy making and the legislation done the first time, it doesn't mean you quit trying.
No,
And
keep
certainly
going.
tragedies like we saw earlier this week, like we saw
Use
last
them.
week.
Use every
mass
tragedy.
shootings,
Use
that
every
are,
tragedy you
killing
can to push
innocent
your
lives, leaving
agenda.
family members without their loved
Yeah,
ones is a
that's
reminder
what a good
of how
politician
important and
does.
vital that is. He has talked about, as he did yesterday, the importance of working with Congress. I know the vice president touched on the fact that if we want something to be permanent, if we want it to be lasting, we need it to be legislation. He certainly believes that. But
Bullshit!
there's also executive actions under consideration.
Then why is
we
he
will continue
pumping out
working through
more
internally,
EOs
and
than
there's lots
any
of
other
leverage
president in
we
the
can
history of
take as
presidency?
President, vice president.
He doesn't believe that.
Secondly,
His actions are speaking a lot louder than his words. Because before he was elected, he said only a dictator uses EOs for legislation. That's exactly what he's done.
transparency. What else can we expect?
There's no transparency. Only what they want you to see. That's why
Well,
there's
first, as
still
you
no
noted,
cameras at the border.
I I know also remain committed to transparency and
B-roll.
will continue to work with agencies
If you
on creating
remain-
avenues for media access
Wrong.
to and visibility
If
into
it-
these facilities.
If it was
So,
about
I think our
transparency,
balance
we
is, of
would
course,
not have to be
privacy, as you all
begging
know.
for this.
It
The
is
press
also
wouldn't
that
have
we're
to
in
be
the middle of a
begging for this.
pandemic,
And
and
CNN,
that, these
CNBC,
facilities, of course, can't become,
NBC, ABC
forums for
would not
media
have to be
access all day long, every day.
stabbing
I think we
their
all
own
agree on
companies
that
in the
balance,
back
but we will
and
continue
jumping
to
on the
look for ways to
anti-Biden
increase
wagon.
transparency and provide additional.
I'm sorry, and jumping on the anti-Biden wagon because he's not doing the transparency he promised as a campaign promise. The transparency is not there. They're not allowing the cameras. They're not allowing ride-ons. They're not allowing any of the employees to talk to the press. And they've had 2 months, 3 months now to allow a camera down there. And they're simply not doing it because they're not transparent.
As the vice president conveyed this morning, obviously has a more permanent.
The White House had conversations with Senators Duckworth and Hirono.
Racist.
The concern that they have brought is the question of who
Straight up
is
racist.
advising President Biden from the AAPI community as we see this surge of violence. I know Ambassador Rice and Cedric Richmond
These
are
two
the engagement
politicians said they will not vote for any
experts.
member in the
Who
Biden
AAPI
administration
community is having direct
if they
conversations
aren't
with the president
not
about
white.
what's on
They have to be non-white.
You mentioned
Otherwise, they're
Cedric
not going to vote
and,
for 'em.
Susan Rice, who have been doing listening sessions for some time, and obviously
That's
those will
racism.
continue to
You can't
pick up.
switch the race on
Obviously,
it and
the
make it
vice
right. You
president, who
can't
was
say
the
that
first
I
in the
won't
meeting and the
vote
last
for
in the
anyone
meeting,
unless they're
on
black.
every
I won't
issue,
vote for
including the
anyone
impact,
unless they're white.
of
You
the
can't
violence
say
and
that
the
stuff.
threats,
So
and
that
the,
makes your statement
that we've
racist. So
seen
these two
increase over
women
the
are
past several
straight up
months against
racist,
the AAPI
openly
community.
racist,
As a
and no
member
one's calling them
herself
out
of
for
the
it.
AAPI
That's
community,
where we are.
certainly, in general, and playing an important role with a seat at the table.
And to be clear, this is a new position in addition to the one over in public engagement?
This is the one that we announced.
Let me just
last
ask you this. If your table has 10 people and it's supposed to
Yes,
represent the United States, how many people at that table need to be Asian Island Pacificers to represent the
I can
United
get you more
States?
specifics. I mean, I think that
How many need
when
to be
they're- all
white?
the roles
How many
that
need
are
to
in
be
our
black? And how
liaison-
many need
playing
to be
liaison
Hispanic?
roles,
So,
typically
why are
have
you
a seat at the
demanding
table on a range
that
of
more
issues,
than
whether it is
3 people
healthcare
are sitting at that
or,
table are
climate
Asian
or,
Pacific Islanders
community
when that's not
violence,
what this
so
company
typically,
represents?
it's
Because you're
having a seat at the
racist, that's
table on a
why.
range of
And you're
topics,
getting
but I
away
can
with
see
it
if there's
because
more
you're in a
specifics.
narrative now
Obviously,
today
I have not
where the
hired
left has
just
allowed
since
people to
last
be
night.
racist and not be called out on it. It's not going to last long, but it's messed
We were
up.
talking yesterday about executive action on gun reform, but the president also was making it clear he wanted to see Congress act. He
Yes.
said that several times.
Yes.
Would he propose his own gun reform plan that he would present to Congress, as we've seen him do on the COVID relief plan and what we anticipate coming on the economic plan? Would this be something that could originate here and not wait for Congress to move?
Karen, I think it's a great question. There's obviously a lot of pieces of legislation.
That means she
have
doesn't
been
have the answer. If
proposed.
it's a great
There's
question,
these two
she doesn't have the
background check
answer.
bills that have moved their way through the House. There's also legislation that's been proposed by Senator Feinstein, Congressman Cicilline, that addresses some banning an assault weapons ban, which is something the president worked to pass in the 90s when he was in the Senate. So there's a range
Problem
of
is you
steps that
can't
can be
define
taken
what
to
an
increase
assault
gun
rifle
safety
is.
measures. What our
Assault
team
weapon.
is looking at now is
I think
what
any
is the
weapon can be
legislation that's
used
out
for an
there?
assault,
Are there any gaps
right?
that need to be filled? Policies or proposals that have been introduced in the past that could be reintroduced. So I
They
don't have
just
anything to predict
want
for you on whether there
everyone's
be something
guns.
independent.
They
I
don't
think we're
want the
looking at
people to be
what,
armed.
A number of
And there's a
passionate
reason
gun
why.
safety advocates on the Hill have already introduced to see where we can help push the
They only
bill
want to
on
take
that.
your
Has
arms.
the president spoken to any of the
when you
families
need your
of the
arms.
Colorado shooting, any of the victims' families?
After. Go ahead, Jeff.
Jen, why did the president wait until there was another shooting, until he addressed gun violence in America?
Because you can't let a good crisis go to waste.
Ban assault weapons, why he was the lead in the Obama-Biden administration and putting in place more than a dozen executive actions to make it safer for our communities. And it's something that he will continue to work on as
He
president.
didn't, though. If you look at the
Yeah, so the
statistics, he
president
didn't make it
called
safer.
it
The
his
ban
own
in
purpose.
94, 84, whatever, didn't make it
60 days
safer.
into his presidency
That's
to
a
talk
farce.
about gun
That's a
violence
lie to the
on
American
camera
people.
in America.
There's no
What does that
evidence,
say
no
about his
statistical
commitment
evidence out there
to
that
the
what he
people,
did
families,
made it
voters,
safer in America. None.
Well, I first
Zero.
would say that anybody who has been following,
But she'll stand up on that
the
stage and
tragedies
lie
and
to the American
shootings that
people
have
like the
happened in
devil
our
woman
country
she
over
is.
The past several years.
Would you agree, though, that you've chosen the facility that is the aspirational facility as opposed to the problem at this moment?
Well, I would say we all agree
Yes.
that the Border Patrol facilities are not places where children should be.
They're
They are,
picking the
children
best
should be moving more
looking
quickly
facility
through those
to
facilities.
show,
That is what our
not the
policy
worst.
central focus
And that's-
is right
that's
now,
messed
as
up.
you know, Jeff. And
That's
there are
disingenuous.
also, it's also
That's a lie to
becoming
the
a
American
public health
people.
concern because of
They're
the
going to
number of
show the
kids who are
shining
moving
new,
through
brand
those
new
facilities and the
facility
fact-
that just got built that isn't at
we will,
capacity.
and we are
when
working
you
with the
have
Border Patrol and
facilities
with,
that are
DHS
packed to
to
the gills,
determine how we can do that.
700% capacity,
Go ahead,
and they're
Jennifer.
not going to show those to the
On
American
Iraq and
people.
withdrawing U.S. troops from
That's
Iraq,
dishonest.
can you please
That's
give us
not
an update
transparent.
on Iraq's request for this?
Well, I would say first, oil and gas jobs aren't going anywhere. The outgoing administration flooded the oil markets with cheap federal leases. This will
How are they not
affect
going
oil and gas
anywhere when you're
production
gonna do-
or jobs for
What?
years to come. And what President Biden has pledged to
I thought
do
we're
is
getting rid
invest
of all
to
fossil
create
fuel,
jobs
blah,
and
blah,
ensure
blah.
America leads the clean energy revolution, which is
he
where the
killed
industry is
Keystone
largely
Pipeline
going
the
anyway,
day
where
he
there is
started
the
office.
greatest
So what do you mean the jobs
opportunity
aren't
for
going
job
anywhere?
creation. He wants to create good paying union
Union
jobs,
jobs.
and that's something he believes, and he's
Is there some consideration to taking a look at the Second Amendment and just addressing it from a sort of the underlying constitutional right to bear arms? Is that something that the president feels needs to be
Oh, wow.
called into question so many years after the revolution?
No one is talking about overturning or changing the Second Amendment. What our focus is on is putting in place common sense
Wow.
measures that will make our communities safer, make families safer, make kids safer. The majority of the American public supports background checks. The majority
Who
of
does
the
that
American
woman
public
work
does not
for?
believe that anyone needs to have an assault weapon. So that's really what our focus
What's
is
an
on
assault
at this
weapon,
point in
Jen?
time. Oh,
Joe Manchin is not in support of this. Once again, you have a Democrat, a member of the president's own party, who is already signaling that he will not support that. You have a very slim majority.
Shut
Can
up.
you convince Republicans to support
Next.
this legislation so that you
Next.
can
Shut up,
work
woman.
around a Democrat?
Who do you
that's
work
not
for?
supporting it?
As the president said yesterday, we don't know yet. He hasn't done the vote count, but it is certainly an issue he will talk to members about and
Wow.
convey why he feels it's so important. The president remains committed to making sure this is the most diverse administration in history. That has always been, remains our goal. We've
Read
made
it,
a lot
Jen.
of progress. We have the most diverse cabinet in history. We
Yeah,
we
to
will
the
continue
point where
to
they're
make
not
progress.
qualified
We
there
have
for their
API
position.
staff at senior levels and at all levels of the administration.
Diversity
and we'll continue
is
to work
killing
to find ways
quali-
to elevate API
qualifications.
voices at the highest level
Qualifiers.
of government. There are a number
Competency.
of
Diversity
cabinet
is killing
level. I know it's not
competency
15 members, so
in
but
this
just to note, obviously Catherine
administration.
Tai, who
Because
received
all you're doing is looking to
overwhelming
check a
support
box
in the
rather
Senate
than
and her
filling a
approval
qualified
to
position.
be confirmed for
Qualified
USTR.
person in this
Julie
position.
Sue at the Department of Labor.
Don't start spatting off all the people
that,
that-
I
oh my
apologize
God,
to Kieran,
stop it.
At OPM meeting.
I wish
with
somebody
members of
would ask
Congress
her,
as concerns arise.
which
Also
is
with
more
leaders in
important?
the community, as he and the vice
Race,
president did last
gender,
Friday. Why
sex,
it's
whatever
so
you wanna
important
call
as we
it.
look to policy making to have senior
Sexual
members of our
orientation
administration do
or
listening sessions in the community
qualification.
to determine
What's
how
the
we can
most
best address
important
needs.
factor in
there's
filling a
personnel,
position?
of course, and we
It
will
should be
continue to work toward
qualifications.
that. There's policies, and that's part of our objective and our
But
focus
it's
at
not.
this point in time.
And also a quick one on guns. The president also talked several times about a federal assault weapons ban, and I'm wondering how he plans to build a coalition around that, even when that policy is something that is opposed by many moderate Democrats in Congress.
Well, though it is supported by the majority of the American people, and that is an important fact, that it is not something that should be a part of what people have access to in this country.
Even if the majority of the
and
American
he will,
people believe it,
continue to,
he's willing to go
so
against
it's like,
it.
you're asking kind
He's
of who will
willing
he
to
talk or
show
who will he-
that his beliefs are more important than the beliefs of the American people.
Well, part of it is
That
certainly
is
communicating
messed
with the
up.
advocates. It's communicating.
That's
with,
a dictator
outside
for
groups
sure.
With gun.
Last week, the Daily Beast reported that there were dozens of White House staffers who were either disciplined or terminated from their jobs for past marijuana use. You seem to confirm 5 terminations on Twitter. And my question is, why would President Biden allow this to happen, especially considering the White House staff were led to believe that pot use would not be disqualifying, and especially considering the Vice President is herself a former marijuana user?
Well, let me first say that
Yeah.
what we tried to do as an administration was work with the security service, who actually makes these determinations about about suitability for serving in government. In the past, and I served in the Obama-Biden administration, the rules were actually far more
In this
stringent.
case, Obama should,
So that isn't about
Kamala should be
anyone's
fired.
personal point of view. It's about working through the process, the history, and modernizing it and taking steps to address the fact that marijuana is legal in a number of
Fire
states
her.
across the country. It is still illegal
Fire her.
federally, right? We know that. There were, as I
Fire
noted,
her.
I think in our comment last week, 5 individuals who
Fire
are no longer
Camel
employed
Toe.
at the White
Fire
House.
her.
A number of them, there were other
If the others
security
were fired
issues
for
that were
past
raised.
use, she needs
and,
to
you
be
know, that's
fired
an
for past
unfortunate
use.
conclusion,
She
of
has a
course,
higher
but,
security clearance
but
than
what we tried
anybody
to do is,
except for the
enable
president.
additional
Probably the same as the
members
president.
of the team who
Fire her.
would not have been able to
There's
continue
no
serving
argument
in
you
past
can make where they should be
administrations to
fired and
continue
she shouldn't.
serving by,
Zero, none.
updating our
Hypocrites.
policy in coordination with the security service.
Follow up on that. Surely President Biden could, implement changes here unilaterally and just say that these people can come to work for him.
Well, I think
Why-
if marijuana was federally legal, that might be a different circumstance. But I don't think I have any more for this on you, on this for you. Go ahead.
Have any more data on the number of people
Huh.
impacted other than the 5 people who were
Bam.
terminated?
I don't have any more data for you other than to convey that there were a number of people who would not have been able to serve in past administrations. And because of our efforts to modernize and work with the security service, they're able to serve. Did you have another question?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
This is as I set it up, a bit of a mystery, and I'm sure that
What
you've
a
inquired
bitch.
about this yourself. And,
Oh, okay. Where's the
hopefully-
cat?
No, it's not that.
Okay.
So there was a report last year from the Senate Finance and Homeland
Oh, yeah,
Security
where's the cat? Everybody,
Committees.
hey, where's the
It
cat?
claimed that the wife of Moscow's former mayor paid a company associated with the president's son $3.5 million. There was no explanation for this alleged payments, and I'm wondering if you could tell us if that claim is accurate, and if so, what the $3.5
He's another troublemaker. I like him.
Not familiar with that claim. Doesn't sound like it's backed up by a lot of evidence. If you have evidence or specifics, happy to discuss it further.
Committee's report.
Yeah.
So you haven't asked about this, or?
I'm not familiar with the report at all. Go ahead.
Oh, you're a fucking liar. You're a straight up liar. If you don't know about that, you have no
It's a
business
good
being in
question.
the
As you
White
may know,
House.
Secretary
She's
Blinken
lying
is
to the
currently
American
in
people.
Brussels and
I have
talking with our
whatever.
NATO
Oh my
European
God, what a
partners.
liar.
He did on
It's just
what is
disgusting.
possible.
Absolutely
and,
disgusting.
hopefully he'll have an update soon, but I don't have a timeline on that for you.
Announcement this week.
I can't give you a timeline. It's really
I
up
have
to his
no.
own decision
I
making.
do not feel
when he's
sorry for
prepared to
her
talk
for
about that
anything from
publicly.
here on out.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Jen. I have a couple of foreign policy questions.
She's not going to make
I
it. She's not going to make it 6 more months.
administration has already
Of course, when we can, we will share vaccines as we have already.
How can anyone
as
even
we're already
listen
doing
to
with
her
Canada and
now?
Mexico, but we're looking at a range of options right now. Our
When
focus
she's
is on
so
continuing
willing to lie to the
address,
American
the
people, just
pandemic that is
openly
ongoing in
lie
the
to the
United
American
States, given
people.
1,000
Didn't know
people are still
anything
dying
about
every
Hunter
single day.
Biden's $3 million with the Russians, and you think it's questionable? It's already been proven.
is considering joining
And for you not to know it or to claim not to know it,
to push back
that's
against
just
Chinese illegal
shameful, pure shameful, unadulterated lying.
Chinese, meeting with leaders from across the aisle, where we would see photos of them together and things like that.
I'm sure he will.
Well,
We
he's
obviously have
certainly
been limited
open,
on COVID
but no,
to
an
any events in
invitation's
the
not
East Wing,
forthcoming.
And at this point, we'd be very much in the Easter egg roll preparations, which of course we will not be, but obviously more important, substantive, vital meetings than that.
You haven't
He's had
been
a number
limited
of
to
meetings,
meeting with the
bipartisan
Democrats,
meetings in the
you
Oval
liar.
Office.
So
He will
now
continue
everything
to
she
do those.
says you have
Those
to
often
look through
been
the prism
constructed
of a
with
liar.
Committee chairs or members with specific jurisdiction.
You
He
can
has-
have
he
meetings
has
with the
a long
Democrats, but
friendship
not the
with,
Republicans. We
with
get
Leader
it, you big
McConnell.
fat
He has
liar.
spoken with him. He speaks with him regularly.
No, he doesn't.
We're obviously
You're
not going to
lying.
read out all of those calls. I expect
No,
that
you
will
don't.
continue.
No, that's not true.
We've been seeing
It's
a
not
lot
true.
of images of spring breakers.
Can't read 'em out 'cause
especially
they
in
don't
Florida,
exist.
And I was curious how aware of that the president, if he's being updated on that regularly, and if he plans to make any sort of address. Or
This man
public
doesn't
appeal
know
to
what
people
day it
on the
is.
issue.
Well, we do watch that closely. The president is briefed regularly by his COVID team, and of course he has seen the news coverage, thanks to all of you, of spring breakers who have been gathering in far too many numbers. There, of course, were steps taken locally.
Really? How about the
in-
spring
in-
breakers that have
in
been beating the
response,
crap out
to
of
this?
each
We
other,
also
who've
watched
been
that
going hog
closely.
wild, like they don't have
I'm
any
not
kind
sure.
of
I don't have anything to
couth
preview
or
for
any
you
kind
in
of
terms of him addressing
civility
spring
to
breakers
them.
publicly.
How about those
I
people
will say that
fighting in the
his
streets
message,
like?
broadly speaking, is that we are still at war with the virus.
Like,
this
you know,
is still a threat
you know,
to
like people
the lives of the American
with
people.
no
We need to be vigilant.
sense
We need
whatsoever.
to wear masks. We need to
Why don't you talk
hand
about
wash,
that?
and that is a message, of
Why don't
course,
you talk about
directly
the
to
black on
anybody
black
who
crime
is
that's going
not
on down
abiding
in the
by
Spring Breakers?
recommendations of public health
How about
officials.
that
Just one more.
tragedy?
Do you have any update on the president's plans? Will he be
The issues, ongoing policy processes that are ongoing. We're currently taking stock of where we are, which includes close consultation with
Processes,
allies and
PCCs,
partners. As
is
I
what's
noted,
coming
Secretary of
out of
State
your
is in,
mouth.
Brussels.
Why he felt the need to meet with historians on this?
I will tell you, presidents love historians. I know this from this is my second president working for, you know, I think it's important to learn from what worked and didn't work in the past, and gain perspective from people who study that. He did meet with historians a couple of weeks ago. I don't have the list of names in front of me. I can see if there's more details we can provide. And really, it's meant to have an open
Translation.
conversation about the
Translation.
challenges
He met with historians to figure out how far he can push it without making the American people snap. That's why he met with them.
Thanks, Jen.
It's come out since this video. That's what he was doing. He was testing the waters to see how far he could push it, how radical he could be, and still keep the American people's support.
Better plan, combination of both.
That's what happened.
Give us an overview of what it is.
Well, our Build Back Better agenda, his Build Back Better agenda, includes a number of components that he talked about on the campaign trail.
Socialism,
Infrastructure's part of it,
communism,
making the
Marxism,
tax code,
taking all
fair
your
and one
money
that rewards
and giving
work,
it to the rich
and not
people.
wealth is
Take
part
all
of
the
it.
money from mom and pops,
Doing better by our caregivers
five
is
and
part
dime
of that.
stores, and
Increasing
giving it to
access
Walmart.
healthcare, is part of
taking
it.
all the money that you would
Investing
spend
in
at
our
the
clean
store
energy
that's not
economy is part
Walmart
of
and
it.
Target,
There's several
whatnot, and
components
giving
we
it
talked
to
about on the
Amazon.
campaign trail. And right now,
That's what
he's
it's about.
talking with his economic
It's
team
about
and
making the
advisors
American
about
people
is,
as poor
what
as
the
they can
scale,
be,
the scope,
as
and the
poor as he
components
can
will
make
look
them,
like,
so that they
and
are
what he's going to
dependent
move forward
on
and propose
the government.
next week.
Socialism.
$1 number has been
It's that
thrown out
simple.
there.
Build back better socialism.
I know the White House hasn't confirmed that, but is it possible that it goes above $3 trillion? Like, is $3 trillion viewed as the cap, or is it certainly possible
Absolutely.
to go even higher?
Well,
There is
again,
no
I think what
limit.
we're looking
No,
at
there's
is
no
all of
limit.
those components, as I
Because
just laid out,
this
all of which may
administration
not-
doesn't
will
know
not
what
be in a
limit
speech
means.
next week,
Because
right?
they
This
know
is
they won't have
big,
to
big
live
components of his agenda that he talked
through
about on the
any
campaign trail.
of the
and
consequences
right now he's having a
of spending all this
conversation
money
about
we don't
the
have.
scale and the scope of what
Simple.
proposals. There's lots of ways to look at infrastructure, but what is in a package that he proposes
Lots of people
in the
that
coming months,
have to
I
get
don't
government
anything
money.
more
There's
detailed
lots
for
of
you.
wheels
And then
that
on
have to be
taxes,
greased.
the White
There's
House
lots
says
of
now
PACs
that
that need to be
families who
paid
make
off.
up to
Lots of donors
$400,000
that need to be
will pay
reciprocated
a penny more
in
under
this
the president's,
infrastructure package.
Potential plan.
So 3 trillion, 5 trillion, 7 trillion, there's
to
no
the
limit.
government in taxes.
He's got to
So
pay
which
back
is
a lot of
98%
people
of families.
for being elected into this
What about
position.
individuals? Traditionally, taxes.
Yeah,
the
doesn't make sense,
joint
Jen.
filers pay about, it's double, but you're saying now it'll be the same rate.
I think we'll have more to say when we actually roll out a tax proposal, which we have not done yet. So this is a commitment he made on the campaign
You
trail,
don't
which
know.
he's committed to abiding by.
Say
but,
it, Jen.
once we
I
propose a tax
don't
proposal,
know.
we'll have
Say
more to
it.
discuss.
People might
on it.
respect
So
you
just
if
to be
you'd
clear,
say that.
individual filers,
I
if you
don't
make up to
know.
$400,000, you're an individual, you will not
She's just
pay
afraid to
more.
say it. She's afraid it'll make her look incompetent, and it won't. It'll make you look a lot more competent than lying to the people like you do every time you stand up at that podium. Every time.
Oh,
The White House?
I was waiting for this to come up.
Who cares
of
about
course.
Major and Champ? My God, shut
Champ
up.
and Major are here at the White House. They joined the first family at Camp David last weekend and returned with them on Sunday. The dogs
Okay,
will come and
boom.
go.
That's it.
and it will
Stop
not
talking.
Be uncommon
Stop talking
for them
right
to
there.
head
That's all
back
you
to
gotta say.
Delaware on occasion, as the President and First Lady often do as well. Is it
Shut
about
up.
the dogs?
Let me close the loop on a Leader McConnell question. You said they speak regularly. He says that they've only spoken one time. He corrected his statement saying they spoke one time on Burma. Have they spoken beyond that one time?
I don't have any more calls, I don't think, to read out for you, in which we will not make a case of doing, as you know. So
Caught in a
I don't
lie.
have more to read out for you.
President's definition of bipartisanship
You were
changed
just caught
since
in a
he,
lie, Jen.
Arrived in office on January 20th.
No, his definition of bipartisanship has always been working on behalf of the American people and governing for all people, whether it's Democrats, Republicans, Independents, and moving forward on proposals and policies that will make their lives
It's
better.
slipping.
With or without Republican votes.
The honeymoon's
Well,
over.
he doesn't believe that bipartisanship is defined by the zip code here. He believes it's on how we can deliver relief to the American people.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Do you have any timing
Stop
Would you like
using
to announce a
cliches.
replacement for Neera Tanden?
I do not. I do not. But Shalonda Young is confirmed. She will be the acting, and so. But I don't have a personnel preview for you on that particular role.
Jen, can I have one more question on China vaccine diplomacy? Is the administration doing anything specific to push back against requirements by China for countries to cut back or reduce ties to Taiwan? Is the administration?
I will check with our national security team if there's anything for that on that for you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, this is absolutely horrible. I'm at a loss for the first time ever at how brazenly she is lying to the American people. And hopefully she's getting uncomfortable with it, because for her to lie about not knowing anything about the Hunter Biden situation, about the laptop, about the $3 million, you'd have to live under a rock and not be an American to not know about the $3 million when you are the White House press secretary. For you not to be informed enough to know that Hunter Biden took millions of dollars from the widowed wife of the mayor of Moscow, for you not to know that and not to know that it has been proven, then you are a sorry, lying individual, because you do know it and you know all about it, and you just got caught lying to the American people without batting an eye. You're a horrible person for that. I'm telling you right now, whatever happens to that woman, she deserves it, because we can't depend on her to tell us the truth at all. This is horrible, horrible to depend on a filter like that to lie to the American people. I'm sickened. I'm sickened by this woman. And I see why now they aren't showing every press conference, press briefing, because the press isn't going to put up with this much longer. Just like what's going on down there in the border, they're tired of it. And what a horrible woman. My God. I'm at a loss. Come on, America. Call out this BS. Call it out. Thanks for watching.